With only 24 hours in the day, how do you find time to do it all? Good morning. It is a very warm and muggy Saturday morning, about par for this time of year here in North Carolina, and lots to do, not enough time to do it. That's everyone's complaint, isn't it? And so many of the things that I need to do today in the garden are things that should have been done a long time ago, and more things to do than I actually have had time. Before I get on to that, I'll just stop complaining about it for just a moment. Real quick update on how things are looking. And part of this, sort of underscores my point that I've not had enough time to keep up with it. In a previous video, I buried parts of the potatoes, the stalks that had grown up, and man, this week they had just really sprung up, and I've not had time to get back out here to cover up the others as they have grown, and well, let's just see what we've got. See, this has already grown over the top of my grow bag, and I'm gonna bury it anyway, and we'll see if I can still get potatoes in this second layer down in here. That's the goal. Same thing here, taller than it needs to be. This was kind of interesting. This was growing up kind of slow from where I put the second layer on, because the others just sprouted right out. You can see here, this one has caught up very quickly. Hopefully I'll be able to, again, bury that. This one's just right. This one's a little bit bigger than it needs to be. This one potato has come up really well. The other, well, it's sleeping. That's task number one. That'll be the fastest task for me to accomplish. Update on peppers. Here's a nice little habanero growing. Never grown habaneros before. I don't know when I should pick it. The reason I grew them, so I can make some homemade salsa. We're gonna give it a shot. Lots of little cayennes. There's a cayenne, another cayenne. Lots of little blossoms. This habanero's had tons of blossoms, but nothing has taken. Not sure why. One thing that really, really, really needs my attention today are the beans. They've not been thinned out yet. I mean, they are way beyond being thinned. And you can see they're already growing runners to try to find some place to climb to. Ooh, look at that sun in the background. I've got to thin these out, and I've got to get my twine run so these vines can have something to grow up on. I want to give you a quick update on the tomato plant that I tried to save that the top had broken off, and I was able to get it to develop roots, and I replanted it 5 or 6 days ago. And here it is. It hasn't died yet, but it hasn't gotten any bigger either. It just doesn't look like it's doing very well. And I don't know if that is from being inside for 2 weeks and then coming out here and the sun was just a little too harsh for it. When the sun gets higher, it'll get a little wilty, even though it's had plenty of water. Just keep our fingers crossed that it'll work out. We'll see. That's the quick update. And of course, there's just little things like turning compost and all that other good stuff. The question that I have is, what do you do when you have more things to do than you have time? That is just the typical story of life here in America. I've had gardens before, and it didn't feel like it had taken me as much time as this one has taken me. Of course, probably the biggest time suck that I have right now is the fact that I'm trying to video record everything that I'm doing so I can look back on it. But if there's more than 4 people watching this video out there, when you get too much to do, how do you go about deciding what things you're going to do? What do you do about those things that get neglected, that you don't get around to on your list? And what happens when it has gone too long? Curious how other people handle that. Do you panic? Do you set aside a day and put that at the top of your list? Do other things get put behind? It could be any number of things. While you're down there making your comments, why don't you go ahead and click that subscribe button while you're there if you're not already subscribed, so you can come back and see if I ever gain enough time and just see how this progress goes. I'm going to set up the camera, let you watch me work for a little while today, and then we'll come back and see if I got it all done. What do you think about the hat? Let's do that over. What do you think of the hat? I like it. It keeps the sun out my eyes much better than just a plain old ball cap does. But I enjoy wearing ball caps more. I'm trying to be practical. The missus says that it adds 10 years to my face. What do you think? With the hat? Without the hat? Of course, I probably have hat hair right now, so that doesn't help. All right, so we're here in the kitchen with the missus. What are you doing?
I have 40 pounds of boneless chicken, and I have 40 pounds of bone-in thighs in that box, and I get to spend the afternoon trimming and freezing and getting it ready for recipes down the road.
And why do you have so much?
Well, we buy in bulk through the House of Rayford truck sales, chicken sales. It's a little bit cheaper that way.
We're not sponsored by them, by the way.
No, it just happens to be on the bag, very clear. It's cheaper that way, and with the food shortage rumors, we thought we would, we've been doing this for years, but because we can get it done ahead of time. But now we were even feeling more pressed because of the threats of food shortages in the next little bit. So we'll be set for at least 3 or 4 months, I guess, is how long this usually lasts.
So what do we know about this chicken? Do we know how this chicken was raised? Do we know what it ate? Do we know what its living conditions were? Do we know what its day was like before it was slaughtered?
We do not.
I guess processed is a nicer word than slaughtered.
Yeah, it says minimally processed, no artificial ingredients. That's about all we know. It says all natural, but is it? We don't know. Because it's not ours.
So maybe next summer you'll be looking forward to doing this to our own chickens, maybe?
With some training, yes, I will. I will help. That'll be definitely a new experience for me. For sure. It's
so hot outside. Yeah, that's one of the things that we're hoping to do. Get to the point where we can raise our own chickens. Like everyone else that has a YouTube channel and wants to be a homesteader. And plus it's nice to know where it came from, and there's a feeling of accomplishment and being able to say you did it yourself. I gotta go back out in the heat now. This is not going to be very steady because this is a very heavy tripod I'm holding. I'm trying to find some shade as I finally wrap this up. As you can see, as I turn here, I think you can tell, I went ahead and found 2 pieces of conduit steel to put a middle piece in there to provide that support before I did any more. Tried to speed some things up and cut on my strings ahead of time to kind of prevent the up and down, up and down, up and down. And it's another situation where calculus would have been better served than straight up linear geometry, plane geometry, to adjust for the curve and the stretching of the twine, and well, none of that stuff that you guys really care about. It's done. There's still one more thing that has to be done, and it is part of the bane of my existence regarding this garden, and it is that weed cloth still doesn't have mulch on it. And the wild strawberry continues to flourish underneath. It's not going to get done today. I have to unfortunately stop. We've got some place we've got to be. I got to cool off, got to get a shower. Before I sign off, just a reminder, please go down below into the comments and let me know how you decide what you're going to do when you've got more to do than time allows, and how often you have found yourself regretting that you made the choices you made. Maybe you made the wrong choice when you finally got around to whatever that task was. Thank you for joining me on this hot day as I try to get this thing to a place where I can just pick some produce. And of course, thank you for joining me on the journey to turn this place into a suburban homestead. Gonna have to put the closing on this after the fact. As you can see, I'm editing the video now, and that's a great face for me to freeze that frame on. Anywho, it was hot that day. The camera kept overheating. The microphone wouldn't work right. I didn't get all the footage saved that I thought I was going to get for that day. So this video has been a bear to edit, but we got to close it out some sort of way. Please do me a favor. Don't forget to go down and give this thing a like if you enjoyed it. Maybe even share it with someone. While you're down there, go ahead and subscribe so you can keep up with my efforts to turn this place into a suburban homestead. And the most important part of every video, and I mean this sincerely, is this tag at the end. Don't forget that the one who created you made you able to create also. So get out there and make it, grow it, and live it.